Hello and welcome to another discussion with me, Devon of InnerSpark, your resource for aligning with nature and coming home to yourself. Okay, today we're going to get into basic energy management, what that is, why it's important, and how it can really be like the best tool to help you manage your emotional stability, your mental health, and to bring about physical healing. So, let's talk a little bit about energy. It's kind of like a trendy, everyone's talking about energy, right? So, our energy is everything and everything is energy. I mean, that's simple and that complicated, period. And it's really the only thing that we have control over. And, I'm a little hesitant to say control because, that makes it seem like it's uh, kind of rigid or aggressive. And I'm not meaning that. I'm not meaning it in that way. I'm meaning it's really the only thing that we can truly influence in our lives. It's the one thing that is ours, truly, from the inside, that can be, pardon my language, completely unfuckwithable when we are in right relationship with it and learning to manage it. Our energy is our presence, it is our emotions, our behaviors, our choices, our thoughts, our physical health or lack thereof, and so much more. Like I said, energy is everything, and everything is energy. And so, if this energy of ours, this this very subtle, nuanced part of ourselves, is really the only thing that we have such influence over and such um, ability to harness and direct and manage, why wouldn't we? Especially when it's everything and everything is it, and it has such profound impacts on every single aspect of our life. It's certainly something that is worthy of our attention, our time, our practice, and our study and gathering of resources and tools to truly love on it and make it work for us. So, in my work, I love explaining. This next topic, I love explaining, and I love using this kind of imagery of the subtle creating the gross. So the subtle, these invisible, unseen parts of ourselves, our mind, our thoughts, our beliefs, our attitudes, are the building blocks for creating our physical body, our physical experience, and our many parts of our reality. So through managing these unseen parts of ourselves, aka our energy, we can begin to really influence and create a physical body and a physical experience that we most want to have. And we can do this through the use of visualizations. We can use emotional tracking because, like I said, emotions are energy. They're energy that are meant to be in motion and go through their whole kind of life cycle. I have a fabulous workshop, it's free on my website, about the use of emotional tracking and how emotions are energy. And that's just such a beautiful topic. It's something that's so important because many times something that we're experiencing in our physical body, whether it's some type of mystery symptom to something like a full blown diagnosis, can have its roots in undigested emotions, undigested life experiences. And so this invisible part of ourselves, right? Like we can't really see anger, we can't see resentment, we can't see grief, but it is certainly playing itself out through us in many ways. So those digestive problems that you experience, those skin problems you experience, hormonal issues, all of these things can really have their roots in these emotional, invisible, subtle parts of ourselves that have become stagnant. We did not allow them and are not allowing them to process and to move. So, that is a wonderful way of managing our energy and bringing about greater emotional stability and physical healing in our physical body and in our lives. Because these things, they're in there. Whether we like it or not, whether we want to admit it, whether we can stabilize ourselves and be with it, they're here. And so rather than running from them and trying to bypass them, getting into these parts and being with them and shifting them can really just bring about the most powerful, powerful changes and healing for ourselves. So, back to the ways that I was getting ready to share about how we can manage our energy. So, we have visualizations, the use of imagery, emotional tracking and tending, like I just said, observation and awareness, and others. And I'll share a few more towards the end here. I just wanted to share a couple more things about the importance of energy, as if I haven't sold it enough, right? I feel like I'm like a snake oil salesperson, like, oh, this can energy, this and everything. It's all of it. It's so important, but truly, it is. It so is. And through having a practice that is ours, because there's like a million and one different energy healing modalities, different ways of managing our energy, different resources, but having something that is truly yours, that you're doing on a daily basis, especially if you identify as a highly sensitive, introverted, empath, something like that, very intuitive, very creative, you are running so much more energy, prana, chi, than the average person. And you're absorbing so much more of it also. So having ways to ground yourself, to diffuse that, to really seal in your own space and keep things moving is going to really kind of make or break your experience. And that population is so much more mind blanking. That population is so much more susceptible to experiencing physical health problems as well. Every single one of my clients is a highly sensitive person, an introvert, and every single one of them has, one or a couple of those kind of classic highly sensitive, introverted, empath, intuitive kind of physical symptoms. And really, once they start to really befriend and work with and get their energy flowing and managed, those things clear up. Just, they do. So you don't need to live with these things that you maybe have deemed as a normal part of your experience, because they're not normal. That's not you in your most natural, vibrant state. That's yeah. You don't need to just tolerate that. So the more that we can really be in tune and in touch with our subtle parts, our energy, the more we're able to consistently make better choices for ourselves and live from our authentic center rather than from old imprints or old programming, beliefs, conditioning, or of something that we picked up from somewhere. We're more whole and more autonomous and more vibrant and healthier. And really, in my own journey, this has been probably the biggest game changer, I would say. So knowing myself on a subtle level has really been the main ingredient in my own physical and emotional, mental, spiritual healing and wholeness. I know it's for sure the reason why I was an alcoholic, why I've had struggles with my relationship with food and with my body. It was all because of being in a highly sensitive, introverted system and not knowing how to honor that, not knowing how to be with that. And it can feel overwhelming, and it can feel like you're just weird and there's something wrong with you, but really it's about managing your energy. That's truly, like, there's nothing wrong with you at all. It's just it's getting in there. And so I work with my energy daily, constantly, through observing and sensing and feeling and moving and transforming it. And I would really say that awareness and observation are often the most profound part. There's little that we actually have to do in the process. Really just being with it and being aware and observing create wonderful, wonderful changes quite quickly. And so some specific tools And if you want even more specifics and greater in-depth awareness and kind of practice with this, I really invite you to come over and join us in the InnerSpark membership this month, February 2022, because this is what we're doing. And I'm sharing some of my most favorite ways. And, you know, like I said, there are a lot of resources out there. And the only way to have any type of results or greater knowing of yourself is to practice. And so it's not like one is better than the other. One may be better for you right now than for that person right now, and one may be better for you next week than it is right now. So it's really about not being up here with all of this, but being in here, being like in the subtle, in your body, what is happening and what is needed, and how can my sheer awareness and observation of it, of what's happening, shift it. So I share specific things in the membership. I'll share a couple of them today. Breathing exercises, for sure. Quickest way to change anything is through that breath. It's available, it's accessible, it's here. There's nothing fancy about it. You don't need to learn anything else. You don't need to get certified. You just breathing consciously. And there's fabulous different techniques and yes, and I love them, and I highly recommend creating a daily breath practice and just breathing. Try it right now with me. Yeah. Yeah. So good. So breathing. Working with physical sensations. So tracking, re-inhabiting your body, noticing where different sensations live, what they're telling you, working with them. Those old stories and old programs and old emotions have taken up residence somewhere in the body, right? They're there. And so tracking, noticing, and beginning to shift and to listen and to feel. Working with imagery and visualizations, like I said, is one of my most favorite. And fun fact, there is a small segment of the population that is actually unable to visualize and work with images. They don't really see images. I'm curious if that's you, because that's wild as somebody who is just totally able to do that and has always been and really values that. It's wild to me to not be able to do that. So I'm curious if that's you. If it is, not to worry, because a lot of times, and again, it's not my experience, but I hear from these people that it's still a profound experience working with imagery. It's just like different, and they come through more in the way of sensation than of the image plus the sensation. So just a little side note. You can also work with chakras, and that's something that we shared in the membership this month also, is taking it a step further, noticing where these things may live in the physical body, and then using the body's kind of mapping and metaphor and the associated areas and what the more subtle, invitational, metaphorical representation of those physical parts are, to kind of use it as another layer of this process. So good. So, like I said, it really is not something to do and to be analytical and in the head about. And like I said, if you're here and you're listening and you're like tracking with me, I imagine that you are also a highly sensitive, introverted, empath person. And I know that because we can become so overwhelmed by our kind of physical and energetic experience, we really divert to the head a lot and want to analyze and understand and know and bring in knowledge and intellect. And this is really not the time for that. So you can certainly learn, right? And we can turn to the head for that. You're learning from me right now. You might learn from someplace else as you gather tools for yourself. But this is something to do and have an experiential process with through play and through practice. And different techniques, like I said, are going to serve you differently on any given day. However, like I said, that breath, I'm sorry, I don't like to give broad, sweeping, always, never kind of statements. And here's one and only I'll ever use. Your breath will always, always serve you. Always. So that is one that you can just, when in doubt, go to the breath. Go to the breath. So it's not an intellectual thing, and you don't need to understand what's happening, analyze it, name it. A lot of the times we won't be able to. So energy it's quick, right? It's the subtle part of ourselves. So it is the part that is still in a non physical matter state. It is the part that is still, the no thing and the source of all things. It is still expansive and quick and wild, and so it changes rapidly, and it can be so kind of expansive and wild that it doesn't make sense to us anyway, because we don't really lack the cognitive ability once we are in a more, this state with our physical body and our brain and this human form that is so beautiful and amazing and complex and brilliant, and not really still super well versed in the ways of the like subtle wild expansionness that our energy tends to be. So while this physical body and this physical experience are a representation, the end product of a bunch of subtle energy, we may not always be able to understand what's happening. So when you're experiencing something, if you're in a funk, if there is old emotions that are coming up as you're beginning this process of really deepening into yourself and really deepening into managing your emotions and managing your emotions and managing your energy, do not be surprised or freaked out or annoyed or anything else that you're unable to like name these things and analyze them and figure out exactly where they came from and why they're there and the roots of it. That can be fun, it can be interesting, sometimes it can be helpful, and you're here now, right? So like whatever led to this kind of congestion that you're being aware of in your belly as you're working on your digestive health and noticing the subtle energetic implications of the digestive problem that you're experiencing, we don't need to always understand like where it came from, because we're here now and we're working on it and we're shifting it and we're being with it and we're going to let it just kind of move on. I love thinking of emotions and energy as, ocean waves. I'm a Southern California girl, so the ocean will always speak to me. And, in a healthy system that you can create now for yourself, there are waves, right? Like they swell up, they have their thing, and then that's it. And then another one comes. And so many of us were not modeled that, we weren't taught that, we weren't shown how to manage our energy, how to manage our emotions, and so things get trapped, they get stuck. Things swelled up, but they were never able to like continue on and roll ashore and then let the other thing come up and go ashore. That never happened. And that energy needed to move somewhere, right? It's like a coil, It's like it's all there and it never got to be released. And so that energy wants to go somewhere. It needs to go somewhere. And that's where we can get things like the chronic kind of pain or tension or having certain behavioral patterns and reactions to things that don't match the situation. You ever had that? Somebody does something or says something and you just like explode, right? Or have this like intense emotion that maybe does not really match the situation. That's another clue, another inclination that like, oh, I need to get in here and do some work on myself, some energy management. Yeah. So there are, like I said, and I'll say one more time, there are many ways of working with your energy. And so my most heartfelt invitation to you would be to practice play. Use your own intuitive guidance. Learn some things, yes, like in the InnerSpark membership in February, right now, come on in, learn some things, yes, and lean into your own intuition. Lean into your own knowing. This is truly the journey of you coming home to yourself, cultivating that self-trust, that self-love, and knowing that you are your own greatest healer. Nobody else can do it for you. There's nothing outside of you that is going to bring you home more than you, because you're already there. So just kind of like going in, right? Like, oh, hey, here I am. So working with your breath, just sitting with yourself, tracking your physical body, asking yourself how you're feeling, pausing, and letting the answer come up, because it will. So there's so many different ways. I invite you to just begin, play, make it a daily thing, and watch how your physical health improves, your emotional stability improves, your mental clarity improves, and your connection to spirit just deepens beyond what you can possibly imagine. So share with me. I'm really curious how you manage your energy, what questions you might have, and I really hope that you'll come join us in the InnerSpark membership, because we're diving deeply into this right now. So that's it for today. If you enjoyed today's talk, please be sure to subscribe, follow along, and share this with somebody that you think would benefit from it. I would love that. And I really love hearing from you. I'm not just saying that. I love conversation, not just Devon talking to a camera. So share any questions, insights, or thoughts. Sign up for the newsletter so we can stay in touch. Visit innerspark.life/free-stuff. Say that 3 times fast. For loads of resources such as assessments and guided meditations, lots of good stuff. And come on over, membership, innerspark.life/work-with-me. All right, I'll see you next time.